Brittney O'Toole.
Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of background about how Kyle and I connected, and recently. I moved up here from Long Island full-time about 2 years ago. My husband works up in Dutchess County as a postmaster, but I've been coming up to Saugerties my entire life. My family's property over there is our summer home, log cabin, and we always wanted to make the full-time leap up here to New York 19, essentially. My husband went to Marist because, just Long Island, there's no middle class on Long Island. The childhood that we had down there is something I could never provide my kids. The plan was always to come up here to try to stay in New York, want to be New Yorkers, and make that flop. We'll just go down there for vacation and come up here full-time. We did that, and I recently got brought into the Saugerties Republican Committee. When I was on Long Island, I had campaign experience, not management experience, but congressional intern for Lee Zeldin for a year in New York 1, and then was on his campaign for a little while and only left because I moved up here and then I had my second baby and I was home and had just got back to the Saugerties Republican Committee, which has been completely revamped in the last few months, and we're trying to really be a serious committee there. The second meeting that I came back into the Saugerties Committee, Kyle and Rich Amador, who I think is great, spoke to us. But I'll be completely honest, as a parent in New York, and everyone my age that I grew up with, long gone from New York, and still struggling to make ends meet and worried about my kids here, no one had any questions on my committee after they gave their speeches, and I went kind of into it with them, and not at them personally, but a lot of issues that matter to me a lot. And it was intense, and I asked questions like, I worked for Lee Zeldin, and I feel like he's one of the good ones. He was fighting a good fight. I watched what his team did. I watched him have, power and voting against the party on bills. We're going to stop spending my kids' money. You're going to support the Second Amendment. Things that, it was very impressive. He's one of the good guys, and it's a really, really hard thing to do. And that's kind of a model of, not just because I worked for him, but he was a great representative of me living there. When I came up here, I knew that Delgado was probably going to win this flip, and I've been eyeing this congressional race since I came up here, because I know in my heart, coming up to Saugerties my whole life, even though it was, part-time then, but now it's full-time, I know the people of this district, and I believe that it's red. I believe it's slippable regardless of who the candidate was going to be. And I knew that. And it was kind of upsetting to see that there didn't seem to be interest in that. I was like, what do you mean? This is a swing race, what's going on? I'm ready to jump in, regardless of who it was going to be. And then once it was Kyle and I met him, I felt really good about that. But Rich and I kind of joke about it now. I kind of yelled at them, so I didn't expect that after a few weeks after that meeting. Kyle reached out to me and offered the opportunity to run his campaign. And I was pretty honest about him that there's a lot of things that I'd be doing for the first time, but I did have campaign experience, and what I do know is I was working for someone that I have a lot of respect for, is a real representative, and I want more people like that, because it's not about Lee Zeldin, it's about his district. It's not about Kyle Vanderwater, it's about people in New York 19, and he just happens to be one of them. That's what this is what it's supposed to be about. So we're on the same page about that, and basically since then, this was in late August, I've just kind of hit the ground running, and we were able to very quickly at that point put together a completely new team that I feel works really, really well together with Kyle. We have a great consultant who was a Navy SEAL, and he brought in a communications. I was able to bring in a communications staffer and myself, and then I have great people, really great people on the ground here that are just dedicated people of New York 19. And that's the staff, that's the campaign now. It's people like you and me, and one of the biggest things that I've been asked is, what's the money situation? Why is there no money? Why is there no money? There is money. We got, maybe the second week that I came in, a considerable amount of money from McCarthy. So what that tells us is that there was investment in this race because it's flippable. They wouldn't have put that in. I believe Kyle got one of the higher amounts of everyone in this group of people that he put this investment into. And again, I'm not dealing with anywhere near the amount of Antonio Delgado's $4 or $5 million, but that shouldn't matter. You want a people's race. This might be what a people's race looks like. And trust me, that should have nothing to do with your vote. That just makes, oh, that's my line right there. Someone can swipe that off if they want. If it's a people's race, and you don't want establishment, and we don't like Antonio Delgado because that is a bought seat, that is establishment, he has a lot of money. I don't get why the argument is this race is dead in the water because it has no money. This is what a people's race looks like. And it's not that we sent Kyle to Congress so that he can, be a ruler of us. He works for us. Antonio Delgado works for us, and Kyle Vanderwater would work for us. And, that the amount of money he has shouldn't have anything to do with that. So basically, if you want the seat to be yours, it's time to step up now and participate in the process. Be excited about this campaign. Talk about it with other people. Understand that this is an opportunity here between a bought seat from establishment or for it to be yours. We don't have to have an existential crisis over the Republican Party to understand that we need to come together now and get behind somebody who's willing to be a representative of us. And that does involve work and responsibility and accountability by us as voters, but that time is now. And I believe that we can do it. For me, I got picked up by Lee Zeldin, by his chief of staff at the March for Life. I got pregnant young, and ever since then, it's just been about my kids. That's why I'm doing this. That's why Kyle is doing this. And I'm sure that most people in the room here are parents. If there's ever going to be an election where parents are called on to step up and do the right thing, it is this one. So that's the energy behind this campaign. It's how everyone on that staff feels. This is about our kids because they're going to have the consequences or the benefits of what we do now. So complicity cannot happen anymore. This campaign is where you can invest the effort for it to matter. This is step one in taking your government back. The state seats matter just as much, if not more. I completely support Rich. I have Rich and Kyle out on the campaign a lot. We're going to do Saugerties fundraiser with Rich and Kyle and the Avenue Steakhouse. And then we're going to be calling for a fundraiser with Rob Astorino, Kieran Layler, and Marcus Molinaro, who also endorsed us. And that will be on Saturday. So if you have any interest in attending either of those, well, that's online, or you can reach out to me. And what we had said before about the White House, we did have that meeting today, and it did go really, really well. The president is very excited about New York 19. It did very well in 2016. They feel it could do even better, and they want unity, and they want to flip this race, and we said we're going to do it, and it's going to happen. But we do need your help. This is your race. This is our kids' race, and it's time to step up. And Kyle will help us do that. I'll help you do that. If you put us there, you're going to have some young blood in there, and maybe that's what we need. So Kyle took a gamble on me to come into this campaign, and I'm asking you to take a gamble on understanding that I understand there might have been doubts about where the campaign was before, and I empathize with them. And I apologize for losing my voice. I was from talking for 2 hours last night. No, I'm kidding. But I've been doing a lot of talking, and I apologize for talking fast. One big thing is that is the Long Island in me. I do talk a little fast, so I apologize for that. But this is we're very serious. It is winnable, and we just have to do it. We just have to get it done. And I'm asking you to help us.
So, Roger, can you chip in here? I think this district went with Trump in 2016. Is that right?
Absolutely.
7 points.
By 7 points.
Yep. They believe they can go by more.
I will tell you that when you watch the television today and you see all these polls that are going out there, we know they're oversampling Democrats. That's a fact. There are some other pollsters that are out there, and you might hear about it on Fox a little bit, but some of the polls information that I get shows that President Trump is going to win this race big, as much as 361 electoral votes. And there was one poll that went out there that put New York State in the red. That New York State will come out for Donald Trump as president. So if you go back 4 years and you look at what transpired in the polls for Hillary Clinton, and everybody said she's going to win, you saw what happened that year? Well, it's going to happen again this year. It's going to happen again this year. But
If there's just one point I could make on that, though, one thing that we're looking at that is completely different about this year, about this campaign, for many reasons, not, COVID, but a whole bunch of other things. When we're talking about now the Supreme Court nomination, and we're talking about the mail-in voting, we're not gonna have a result on election night. And there's the possibility, we don't know what's gonna happen between November and January, and there's a lot of games that could be played. And very real possibility that this could, where the power is going to lie for the next 2 or 4 years could get down to your representative sitting in the House seat in Congress. And who do you want there when they have the vote that's when they're making these determinations, if it goes to that level? Do you want Antonio Delgado there, or do you want Kyle Vanderwater, who's from here, who's been going around to these clubs all over New York 19, which is 11 counties, which for me is just mind-blowing to understand in such a short period of time, because I'm used to half a county.
You all have smartphones. Go to Google, go to Alexa, and say, what happens if it's a contested election and it's not decided in time for the inauguration?
Nancy Pelosi.
There's a lot of scary possibilities.
The House of Representatives elects the next president. The Senate elects the next vice president. So there's a lot of risk here. If you want Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and what's her name, Christian Gillibrand, deciding who your next leaders are, then what you really need to do is remember, he calls it a tick. You got to tell everybody to vote for every position. Because if they go in and they vote for the, I've seen it happen. People go on in and when we read the absentee ballots, when we, for example, in the Kavanaugh race, do you know that in the Kavanaugh race last year, there were 700 ballots that voted for the Supreme Court or for other positions, didn't vote for the district attorney? 700 ballots. And that's where we got our folks that said they went out there, and you got somebody that's running for town board in Marlboro, and they run out there and the neighbor says, oh, will you vote for me? And he says, okay, I'll go on out. And they look for Tom Cochran's name, and they vote for Tom Cochran, and they don't fill out the rest of the ballot. They were Republicans. If they had filled out every position, maybe we'd have had a Republican district attorney that was going to protect our county and be a law and order chief, law enforcement officer for our county. So what she's talking about here is important, that this race is not underwater. This race is one that's on the radar, and the discussions that took place today with the White House, the president is very careful about when he comes out with endorsements. And I think you should be tuning in for the next couple of days, because you might see Donald Trump say, I need Kyle Vanderwater. So that's where the tone of the conversation probably went today. But it takes, his whole process. Listen, I've met President Trump several times. I couldn't get close to him right now. I couldn't get a message to him. That umbrella around him is airtight. So when he's making his decisions, he's got a whole lot of people that he confers with. And then when it comes out of his mouth, believe me, he knows what he's talking about. So, quite frankly, I think it's going to take him a few days, but he may very well. And if he comes out and endorses Kyle Vanderwater, that's the shot in the arm that we're looking for. So, and that could very well happen very soon.
So can you give contact information for
Sure.
the film
yeah,
and for
well,
anybody who wants to write it down?
I could write it down. The website, directed to this website, one thing that will really help me, this isn't about money, but it is about making my job easier in very short time, is having funding. Where are the TV ads? The money isn't there. And that doesn't have to define the race, but if you want to see them, if you want to make my job easier, I'm really excited to do the job, but it's hard work. Make it easier on me and on you, understanding that you can flip this race by hitting that contribute button on KyleForNY19. So it's Kyle for FORNY number 19. I have all the business cards here with it on it, .com. Or you can just search Kyle Vanderwater for Congress on Google, and then right there on the front page, I would, if you're on social media at all, which I older people say they're not on social media, but I know you're out there on social media. And in COVID times and in, in the trying to be fiscally conservative, since I've come in, I really want to communicate with you and have Kyle communicate with you via social media. And it's going to happen. It's been happening. That's actually the work that I did do with Lee Zeldin, was mostly social media. And I want it to be not a staffer those are Kyle's words. You're hearing Kyle's policy. I mean, this is so raw on such a people's campaign that him and I are sitting in front of the walkway on the Hudson. We're in New Paltz here for Eric Trump's fundraiser a few weeks ago, and just pulling over with beautiful New York 19 nature in the back, which is what I moved up here for. And I'm like, this isn't going to be a fancy video, but it's you. People want to see you. And then just recording it and putting it up raw. What's your policy on this? This is how real government should work. And I understand the frustration, even as a Republican, since I was 18, kind of going around, all over the place with, why can't we get united? One of the biggest things that I've seen in 10 years of being a Republican is that we can't get it together like the Democrats do. When you see these primaries, we have, when it comes down to the clutch moments, we have to get past those differences and be united for the common cause, because the alternative is Antonio Delgado, and it's not even Antonio Delgado. That is the DNC. That is establishment. This is your seat. This is something that we all need to work on together. And there's an opportunity here for libertarian-minded Republicans and moderate Republicans and old-school Republicans and fiscal conservatives and everything that fits in between there that we can argue about later. There's an opportunity now for the Republican Party to radiate being a people's race, on the Senate level especially, because the situation in New York State is dire. I mean, it is unbelievable, and I can't even tell you how many parents my age with young children are concerned about parental rights, vaccine mandates, which essentially, from some of the laws I've seen, are out the window already, because we're under one-party rule, almost an empire at this point. And it's many of you are aware of it, many of you are not. You have to vote red. You have to. It's our only chance.
Moderate Democrats.
We're getting moderate Democrats.
Yes.
We went around Socrates and smoked to soft Democrats. We smoked to independents.
Because you brought up the issues that you brought up that were received well by the moderates were.
Yes, I think they're received well by everybody.
What were
And
they?
and actually Kyle and I believe in these. We're very similar on many issues, not exactly, but have a lot of the same policy. Term limits, especially in Congress. Instead of 2 years, 3 years, 3-year term limits, because, and I even know this from working on it, every other year is a campaign year. They're not doing work, they're not representing you. And that's not their fault. That's the reality of the situation. Because you see, I've had a month to get this, and we were able to get to a pretty good platform in just a month, since the end of August. But it's very difficult to do government work and campaign. And the campaigning does tend to take the priority from what I see every 2 years. Have it be 3 years, and then a limit after 3 years. It's a civil service. It's someone who works for you. Kyle has to work for you. And we have an opportunity every 2 years right now to be the boss. And the approval rate in Congress is abysmal, and it's been abysmal, which is something that says to me that there are members of Congress there, I'm 28 years old, that have been there longer than me, renaming post office, and that's all they do, and then voting on party lines, not caring about the people that live there, for longer than I've been alive. And they're still in there, and every 2 years, people like you sitting down here, people like me, worrying about my kids, have the opportunity to become informed, have the ability to say, hey, I don't know something, or hey, I might have been wrong about something, and evolve your opinions and learn and become engaged voters. It's a responsibility. So I think that Congress should really be more powerful. That is the direct avenue to the federal government. And people don't have to, President Trump, I feel, has compensated overly for a completely abysmal Congress, a completely dysfunctional Congress. And at what point, because I'm at this point, I've been at it for a long time, do you take responsibility for that? That's our responsibility. The powers in the people, take it back. That's what we're trying to do here. They did it, it's possible, they do it in New York 1, we can do it up here. You can do it.
See that? That's what I'm talking about.
I could use, in Ulster County, that type of energy in every town, so, she drove, pardon me? Absolutely.
It's been a long day, and she made it down here just because I told her we really needed that message here.
That's still Ulster County. I'm still used to everything being 20 minutes away, but it's okay. But I have one more thing I wanted to say. I'm sorry,
Oh.
but Ulster County is so important, and all of the counties are important. He's a representative of all of them, and I got Kyle to all of the counties. And he's driving in the car. I mean, we're going around. I mean, with our kids in the back. He literally hit a turkey with me in the front seat, and there was a car that he had for 3 days. I mean, this is the people that you're seeing in line at Quick Check, and the people that you're seeing in line at the grocery store running for Congress. And that's who it should be. Nobody should have an impressive career, you're all people, and your voices all matter. You're individuals who matter. My own kids, if I had to send them to college tomorrow, I wouldn't, because that's in how you become educated. Everybody has a right to be talking about this and shouldn't feel like, oh, I don't know enough, I shouldn't talk about politics. No, that's part of the problem. We need to talk about it, be forgiving of each other, not hold on to these insecurities about being wrong, and be the good government that we deserve. So it'll take some work, but this is the time where you can say, I can step up and actually make a difference. And it'll take work. And the reason that we have a system that we do is because, quite frankly, and I'll take some responsibility, but I've only been voting for 10 years, is there's been a lot of bad work. You've been bad bosses for a long time. For a long time, no one individually. But Congress is ridiculous. And 95% disapproval rate for how long? And we talk about executive powers being overpowering, but the president basically has to compensate for what Congress doesn't do, which is nothing. They did nothing except spend my kids' money for the last 4 years. And that makes me really, really upset. We're stealing from them. And I take that very personally. So I can't know that and not do something about it. So this is me doing something about it. For whatever reason, Kyle took a gamble on me. And I hope you understand that that's where this campaign is coming from. And I have a team that's on this level of energy in Ulster County. We need to win the race in Ulster County, even though they're all important.
Okay. Can I interject? Anybody remember Chris Gibson?
Yeah, sure.
First time he ran, he lost Ulster County by 12,000 votes, but he still won the election. The second time he ran, and it was an Obama year, Obama won Ulster County by 12,000 votes, and Chris Gibson won Ulster County by 5,000 votes. So what happened that year was that there were, you take that difference from 12 to 5 is 17 divided by 2 is 8,500. 8,500 people voted for Obama and voted for Chris Gibson. So people are smart. When it comes time for this vote, they know how important our Congress is. They didn't want Romney, but they certainly wanted Chris Gibson. So your vote does matter, and we're hoping that, we don't expect that Kyle Vanderwater is going to win Ulster County this year. But we don't want the margin to be 17,000 votes. We want the margin to be about 10,000 votes. So if we can get that margin down here in Ulster County where he loses Ulster County by 10,000 votes, the rest of the district is more Republican, and we will put Kyle Vanderwater into Congress because every vote counts. So,
Your vote is your vote, but the ticks matter.
yep.
There's something about being a Republican in New York State where my vote for the president has never mattered. Don't think that in Ulster County, because it likely will go blue, doesn't mean that you and then all the people you're going to talk about, all the people who might be hung up on a write-in campaign, that I don't really have anything to say other than it's in the rearview mirror. This campaign has reached out to that group, coming in, basically asking her to come on board. She did endorse us online, and we did not hear back from her. I reached out as another conservative woman, young, powerful. She obviously had a strong following. I felt that she could join Marcus Molinaro, Rob Escudorino, all these other people on the campaign trail that is going to show a strong Republican Party, especially in New York 19. That opportunity is there. And I have to tell you also that, look, I'm on a town committee. Those two candidates, we would have supported whichever candidate took the primary. That's been decided. The voters have been spoken. And on a policy level, they're almost identical. So we don't need to lose this race because we're not going to, that would be losing policy, that'd be losing the values over whatever we want to call that. So unity, we have to do unity. Bring in moderate Dems, it's possible, we did it over the weekend in Saugerties. Bring in libertarians. I feel like a lot of their platforms are very libertarian, the fiscal conservatism, the Second Amendment. They're all there with Kyle. And I'm not going to apologize because I was just sitting there like you guys on the town committee as a constituent when this primary was going on. But this is what's happening now, and this is an opportunity, and it is on you, not to put you on the spot, but this is exactly what I did to Rich Amador and Kyle Vandenwater, to make it happen. It's just as much on you as it is on them. We have to do this together. This is what a people's race looks like. And if anyone's going to save New York, on any level, the state level especially, the congressional level, it's New Yorkers. Who else is going to do this? Who else is strong enough to do that but New Yorkers? So that's you right here, in New York 19. That's what I got.
KyleForNY19.com.
KyleForNY19.com, and then look on, we got Twitter, Facebook page especially, and Instagram, and you can see videos directly of him just like this.
Brittney O'Toole, thank you.
Thanks for coming, guys.